At the beginning of the story, we are shown a child, Andrew, playing in the park. At this time, he is holding his favorite toy, Shakal D, which he always carried with him. Meanwhile, Andrew's mother, who is standing near him, receives a phone call. The person on the phone was harassing her, and his mother was so stressed that she did not even realize how long Andrew had been calling her. In fact, Andrew was in the forest looking for Shakal D, who was calling him. After the call ended, when Andrew's mother looked back, she found that Andrew was not there. She panicked and immediately started looking for him. Their neighbor Emily and her mother Anna also looked. Andrew had gone into the forest on Shakal D's call, but he did not see Shakal D there. Suddenly he saw Shakal D's shadow again, after which he ran, and then suddenly someone attacked him from behind. The scene then cuts, and at night we learn that the police are also now searching for Andrew in the forest. Andrew's father, who is also a police officer, searches for him with the police. After a lot of searching, they first find Andrew's toy, and then a little distance away they find Andrew, but he is now dead. Seeing his son in this condition, his father goes into shock and cannot control his emotions. The other police officers console him. The next day, the investigation of Andrew's death begins. The police believe that Andrew died due to an animal attack, as there were marks of animal attack on his body. But it was also possible that someone murdered Andrew. In this connection, 2 FBI agents come to handle the case. The senior officer tells the FBI agents that you have wasted your time in this case, because it is clear that the child died due to an animal attack. But then an FBI agent tells that Andrew's neck bone was broken, which shows that he was strangulated to death, and the animal bite marks on his body were after his death. Hearing this, the police officer says that this is just a story that you have made up in your mind. In response, the second FBI agent says that this is not a story. This is what the doctor has told based on the post-mortem of Andrew's body. Now the FBI agents tell the police how to find the killer. The way Andrew's neck was twisted, it could be the work of a young and strong person. This means that the killer could be between 19 and 42 years old and possibly a professional criminal or someone who has a criminal record. Also, the killer should have information about Andrew's family, and he should know at what time Andrew used to come to the park. After listening to this, the police officers leave from there. After this, both the FBI agents talk to each other. Agent Walters tells Kelly that I think this is not the work of a human being. Maybe it is the work of a spirit or something else. Kelly listens to him carefully. Walters tells that in the 16th century there was a woman who opened the door to hell with the help of some magic or ritual, and she had a connection with the devil. Maybe this case is related to that. Hearing this, Kelly says, "Oh, forget it. This sounds like a story from a book. Can we focus on the real case?" But Walters says that the bite mark on Andrew's body is not the mark of any ordinary animal. This is the mark of a dog, which I know is the guardian of hell. Actually, they are spiritual dogs. After hearing this, they go back to their office and check Andrew's body again, because till now they did not understand the real reason for Andrew's death. Now when they touch Andrew's feet, they find something strange there, as if there is salt or sand on his feet. After this, they check the file, in which they see the picture of jackal teeth toy. They found a jackal teeth toy at the place where the murder took place. Both FBI agents started wondering what connection this toy or jackal teeth could have with this murder. From the same report, they also came to know that the eyewitness of the murder had not been questioned till now. And the witness of this murder was a little girl, Emily, who was Andrew's neighbor. Actually, Emily's father was the head of the police, from whose hands this gift was taken, and both these gifts were handed over to the FBI agents. So both agents decide that after Andrew's funeral, they will go to meet Emily and her mother Anna. By then it is shown that Andrew's body had not yet come to the church for the funeral, and Andrew's father was very upset about this. They ask other police officers why the FBI agents are not leaving Andrew's body till now. Then an officer tells them that the FBI agents think that Andrew has been murdered. At the end of this scene, it is shown that Agent Mulder reaches Emily's house, i.e., Andrew's neighbor's house. The little girl was not able to answer his questions properly, due to which his investigation was not able to move forward. Emily only told that she had seen Andrew going into the forest. After this, she gets lost in her TV show. But meanwhile, Emily's mother Anna talks to Mulder and tells that she also saw Andrew disappearing into the forest. As soon as she saw this, she was very scared, and is still scared because this can happen to her son any time. Saying this, Anna goes from there to do some work. Meanwhile, Mulder starts looking around the house. He sees photos of Anna's family and a book, whose name was Grimoire of the Eastwood Witch. Anna sees that Mulder has been reading this book for a long time. About this, she tells that actually her husband, who is the chief police officer, is very interested in the history of witchcraft and witches. And this is also the story of their area, so he keeps reading it often. Now Mulder had been there for a long time, so he gets ready to leave from there. But as soon as he starts leaving, Emily calls out and draws his attention. She points towards the TV and says that she saw Mr. Jackal Teeth in the forest that day. Jackal Teeth's show was running on TV at that time. On the other hand, Scully, who had come to the police station at this time, tells the chief police officer that she thinks Andrew's father has a hand in this murder. In response, the officer says that this is nonsense because on the day and time when Andrew was murdered, his father was on duty at that time. Despite this, Scully does not listen to him and continuously asks questions one after the other, for which the police officer does not have an answer. So the officer says, "Okay, if you want to talk to Andrew's father, let's go there." When they get to Andrew's father's office, they learn that Andrew's father has gone to capture a criminal. Before following him, Scully checks his computer. From there, she learns that Andrew's father is looking for a sex offender in his area, who harasses women and blackmails them by calling him hairy ass. According to his research, Andrew's father finds out about a man, Peter, who was at home at that time. Andrew's father was sure that he was his son's killer. With this thought, he went to Peter's house. Now their chief and Scully were also following them. When Andrew's father reached Peter's house, he started shouting loudly. The chief barely managed to calm him down. Meanwhile, Scully, who accompanied them, calls her partner Walter and tells him they are at the home of a new suspect, whom police are looking at as Andrew's killer. Mulder, who was at the scene of Andrew's murder all this time, walks up to Scully. Behind him we are shown a huge black dog staring at him, and Mulder notices this. Mulder approaches Scully and says, "I don't think Peter killed Andrew. I still think there's some sort of spirit behind it. I still saw that black dog in the woods, which I think is the guardian angel of hell. But it's hard to come to any theory so quickly." At Scully's urging, Mulder and Scully both go to Peter's house to investigate, where they find a strange shoe and a monkey. Mr. Shruggledeath's mask is also placed near the shoe. Since Emily had said she saw Mr. Shruggledeath in the woods, it was now possible that Peter had killed Andrew. All the evidence was now against Peter, but Scully was confused because Mulder was still not accusing Peter of murder. Mulder replied, "I'm not saying this man didn't commit a murder. I'm just saying he didn't kill Andrew. We shouldn't make a big decision based on so little evidence." Next, we are shown Andrew's neighbor Emily, who was watching her cartoon show on Stein TV. She loved the cartoon character very much. Suddenly, she saw the same cartoon character standing at her door and calling her. She smiled at him. Then her mother called her from behind for lunch, but Emily did not hear them. When Anna saw that Emily was not coming, she got worried and went to look for her, but Emily was nowhere to be found. Some time later, the police and FBI agents also found Emily's body in the woods. Someone had killed him in the same way as Andrew. As soon as Anna found out about this, she also immediately ran towards the forest. Anna was no longer in her senses. She was moving towards Emily, as if she could bring her back to life. But the police officers caught her. Mulder, who was investigating this murder, saw some white things scattered on the ground there. Mulder starts removing the leaves from there. He sees a circle of white salt at that place. Mulder is shocked to see this. He tells Scully that such circles are often made to summon spirits or demons. This was a common practice in the 16th and 17th centuries. At that time, witches used to summon demons for their magical activities. These were such spirits that could change the form of any animal, human, or any object. They could even take the form of a human. These spirits were called familiars. And these familiars used to kill a person by changing the form of their favorite thing, like they could take the form of their favorite person, animal, even toy or cartoon character. Now Mulder removes more leaves and sees a skull mark below. Mulder says, "See, I told you, this is the same place where demons and spirits are summoned." After seeing all this, he goes to the chief officer. Mulder suspects that the same officer who was trying to keep everyone away from the truth is behind all this, because he had seen the witch's book in that officer's house. Hearing this, the chief officer also gets confused. He feels that he is hiding something. Mulder asks him, "You are behind this black magic, right?" At first he does not say anything, but on Mulder's insistence he says, "No, I am not behind this. Yes, I admit that I was trying to distract you from this case, but not because I have done all this. I am not behind this murder." Then he says, "Yes, it was my mistake. That day when Andrew disappeared, I was actually trying to trouble his mother. Because of me, Andrew's mother ignored him and he disappeared. This was my biggest mistake." The chief officer felt very guilty for his act. After she leaves, Mulder tells Scully, "This case is exactly as I was telling you. Someone here has opened the door to hell with their magical actions, and that's the reason behind all these murders." On the other hand, Andrew's father still suspects the man whose house he visited earlier. He tells everyone the truth about the man, and the angry people start beating him. As soon as Mulder and Scully get wind of the incident, they arrive and try to handle the situation. Scully shows everyone her badge and says, "I'm an FBI agent, and if you don't stop trying to kill this man, you'll all be charged with attempted murder." Everyone stops after hearing Scully. But then Andrew's father shoots the man without thinking and kills him, even though the man was not at fault. After killing this innocent man, Andrew's father is sent to prison. A few days later he has a court hearing and is released in court. At first he was convicted, but the man he killed was already a criminal. But despite all this, he had to pay a fine of $5,000. During the hearing, we see Mulder and Scully talking to each other. Mulder was telling Scully that whoever opened the door to hell, or whoever did that ritual and magic, is also sitting in this room with us. We just have to keep our eyes open. As these two agents leave the court, a police officer is already waiting for them. He tells them that neither Andrew's father is behind the murder, as he was on duty that day and was 40 kilometers away from Andrew, nor the person who killed the man killed by Andrew's father. This officer was actually called from another city, because they no longer trust these local officers. Next, we are shown Andrew's father, who has now returned home. But even after coming home, he is not happy, but more upset. Due to this case, he faced the worst truth. He found out that his wife and the chief officer had an affair, and that was the reason the chief officer harassed her. Because of this, he lost sight of his son, and because of this horrific act, his son lost his life. On hearing all this from her husband's mouth, Andrew's mother becomes even more worried. She herself had not yet recovered from the grief of Andrew's death. On hearing her husband's words, she becomes even more upset and leaves with the car. On the other side, her husband sets out to go to the chief officer's house to avenge his daughter's death. While Andrew's mother was driving, she saw Andrew standing on the road in the middle of the forest. To save him, she turned the car, but so fast that her car overturned and she met with an accident. Andrew's father, who had now reached the chief officer's house, sees only darkness inside the house. Then at a distance he sees Mr. Chacliti, whom he starts following. But as soon as he follows him, Mr. Chacliti suddenly disappears. This incident happens 3 times. The 4th time he hears the voice of Chacletti on TV. As he starts watching Chacletti's show on TV, he hears footsteps. It is none other than Mr. Chacletti. Andrew's father is about to shoot him when the head officer arrives. He sees Rick Kenny, Andrew's father, pointing a gun at him. The head officer shoots him dead before Rick can shoot him. Mulder and Scully, who were nearby, hear the gunshot and rush there. They are shocked when they see that Andrew's father is dead. Both of them have a feeling that something more terrible is about to happen. As they both leave the house, they see a circle of salt outside the house. Thinking something, Mulder goes back inside and sees that the witch's book is no longer there. Seeing this, they head towards the crime scene in the woods. Meanwhile, the head officer was also looking for Andrew's mother, Diane. While searching, he reaches near the forest, where he finds Andrew's mother's car overturned. But the most surprising thing was that he saw Andrew's mother standing in the forest and calling him towards her. As he moves towards her, Andrew's mother suddenly disappears in the forest. The officer goes into the forest to find her, but in his happiness he does not see Andrew's mother's dead body lying nearby. This makes it clear that Andrew's mother had died, and what he was seeing was either his illusion or a spirit in the form of his mother. The chief officer also goes deep into the forest, where he sees his wife Anna. She was standing in the middle of the forest in a circle of many candles. It was a magic circle. She was doing black magic with the help of the same book, which we had seen earlier in her house. Seeing this, we come to know that in reality, it was none other than Anna who was behind the death of Andrew and his daughter Emily. It was she who started all this black magic. Anna accepts it. She accepts that yes, she did black magic. But her intention was not the death of Andrew and Emily. She just wanted the chief officer and Diane to learn a lesson for their betrayal. They should just realize the betrayal they had done to their spouses. She did not realize that behind this rich purpose, she would have to lose her daughter, and poor Andrew would also lose his life. Anna had also learned a lesson for her actions. She herself was in deep sorrow after the death of her daughter, and now she wanted all this to stop. During this conversation, Anna sees that the black dog, which was actually the guard of hell, has attacked the chief officer. She did not want to kill her husband, and now seeing him dying in front of her eyes, she screams loudly. Meanwhile, we see that Agent Mulder and Scully also reached there, who saw Anna standing in that magic circle, and they understood the whole story. Here Mulder wanted to talk to Anna. He says to Anna, "Give me this book. I will show you another way." But Anna does not listen to him, and while reading some magical spells from that book, she also kills herself. As soon as she dies, the door which she opened to open the gate of hell also closes. The most surprising thing was that in the fire in which she was burning to die, the book with which she was doing magic did not burn, which Scully now keeps with her as proof, because this was the first case in his life in which spiritual powers were involved behind all the murders. Mulder then comes and says, "I trusted you. What you were saying was right." Their case is now over. Eventually, these people now leave this town. After they leave, we again see the same swing which was in the beginning of the film. This means that the story did not end here. There was still something left to see.